welcome to 1923 Main Street.
Home of the Daddy-Daughter Disney Travel Podcast. We are your hosts.
I am Mike Bello-Braddock.
And I'm Amelia Bello-Braddock. And join us on a walk down memory lane as we reminisce about some of our forgotten favorites at Walt Disney World.
Yes, we're going to talk about extinct attractions or reimagined attractions. And Amelia actually came up with this idea maybe a few weeks ago. And then with the recent reimagining announcement for Splash Mountain, I thought, you know what? You're right. This is possibly a really good time to do this right now.
Well, I didn't even know it was based on a movie.
I've actually heard that a lot.
Woodland animals and, the frontier and the woods because it's in Frontierland. So I'm looking forward to see how they base it on Tiana, which I think they're doing Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to see how they reimagine it to a movie that I've actually heard of.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool too. The only thing I do fall into that camp saying, as a big Disney sort of proponent of the themed lands, I am hoping that they don't try to make 1920s New Orleans into the 1800s. I would hope that what they do is make it a new themed area like the Bayou. I think they should call it the Bayou and just...
Yeah, I really like that idea, actually.
We've already got New Orleans Square, we've already got Liberty Square. They're small little areas. So if they just call it the Bayou, don't try to make it part of Frontierland, I think that could be really, really cool. And I was also thinking, sometimes alligators sneak into the water on Splash Mountain. Well, if that happens now, it'll actually be part of the theme because if it's the Bayou in New Orleans,
the
scary part of the theme, not welcome. But, it's just something I was thinking of on the side. So that aside, that did inspire looking back at lost attractions at Walt Disney World. We're not going to cover every single one because there's a ton of them on 50 years worth of attractions. But these are ones that had special places for us.
Some of our favorites.
And some of our favorites. And the first one I have on my list that I wanted to talk about was the House of Magic.
Now, yes, it is forgotten, but they do still, thankfully, have it at Disneyland.
And actually, that's going to be true for a number of these. So a number of these that you did not actually get to experience at Walt Disney World, you have experienced through the magic of Disneyland, still having some of these things on property, which is, I really like that Disneyland is different. And the House of Magic on Main Street U.S.A. in Walt Disney World was one of my favorite things as a kid. So when it closed in 1995, I was very sad. And then what happened in 2017?
Well, they added the new House of Magic sign.
Yeah, they put the marquee back.
And it was part of the Emporium.
We were all excited till we walked in and went, what? This is not the House of Magic. So I'm not sure why exactly they did that, because it just faked us out. And I wonder if it faked any of you out as well. But anyway, the House of Magic is definitely one of my favorite lost attractions. And of course, another big one from the Magic Kingdom was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah, and I've been on this at... Well,
essentially...
No, this is gone, but they did reimagine it at...
Disneyland.
So some of these are reimagined, not necessarily gone, like Splash Mountain.
After it left Walt Disney World, it went through a lot of changes. So do you know what is in that spot now?
No, actually, I don't really know.
Well, right now, it's essentially...
I don't really know.
It went through a few things.
I don't know where that was.
After and it was a great ride, but as you know, if you've been on it in Disneyland still, it's really slow to board. It takes a long time to get off and on.
Really cool once you're on there.
Yeah, and I guess the subs kept breaking down. But 20,000 Leagues was sort of a bit scarier in parts than the current version at Disneyland. But then it became a place called Ariel's Grotto, which really wasn't... It wasn't the grotto you know today. Oh. It was more of just like a scenic thing, as I recall. And then it was Pooh's Playful Spot, like a play area.
What?
And now it's Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, basically.
Really?
Yeah, so that's where it was, in that big area there. And here's one thing that I think is really cool. We like to talk about hidden gems. The Imagineers did have a little ode to the Nautilus. The subs were called the Nautilus in the movie 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But there is a silhouette in the rock wall of Ariel's undersea adventure, which is right in that same area and probably was part of this ride as well, of a Nautilus carved out of stone. So Imagineers did put a little memory of the ride in that same spot.
That's really cool.
Yeah, there's a little hidden gem for everyone listening. Watch for that in Ariel's Undersea Adventure in New Fantasyland, or I guess just Fantasyland now. And then another classic that still exists in Disneyland.
Ooh, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yes, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I think was one of my favorite rides as a kid.
I really liked that ride.
Yeah, I loved
Very
it as
fun.
a kid. Yeah, it's sort of fast and a little bit herky-jerky, and that left us in 1998. So it was there for quite a while. And it is now The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's actually really cool.
And just like they did with the Nautilus and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, there are a couple of Imagineer nods to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride that still exist. One is over at the Haunted Mansion. If you go into the pet cemetery, you will see Mr. Toad because his ride died.
No.
And inside the Pooh ride, there are a few little throwbacks to Mr. Toad's Wild
There
Ride.
are a few toads.
Yeah, there's some characters. You're on the right track in the walls. We don't go on Pooh a lot, but maybe we'll go on it next time to seek out the little nods to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And now, there is one that you do know that is no longer there.
Mickey Toontown.
Well, no, that's not what I was talking about. I think I flipped the order on your script. But yes, let's talk about
What
that.
script?
Mickey's Toontown Fair that closed in 2011, as did a lot of things, to make way for what was then called New Fantasyland, and now is just Fantasyland. But do you actually remember Mickey's Toontown Fair?
I love Mickey's Toontown. So cute.
Yes, and
Everything's still so small.
we still visit it in Disneyland. It's a little bit different. They have a Chippendale treehouse there and things like that, which I can't
remember
recall.
It was like Daisy's sewing machine. And
Yeah, Minnie's house.
Bow shop.
You loved Minnie's bow shop. It was Minnie's sewing machine, I think.
No, it was Daisy's.
Was it Daisy's?
Well, Daisy was there.
We'll have to look back in the photos of that from when you were little. You did at least get to go to Mickey's Toontown Fair before it closed. We have some fun videos of you in there. That was a fun area, but it does still exist as well over in Disneyland. Now, probably one of my favorite rides of all time at Walt Disney World that you did not get to experience. And what is there now is not nearly up to par of what it replaced.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
Which one am I talking about?
Extraterrestrial alien encounter?
Well, actually, it was extraterrestrial.
Oh.
They made it the extraterrestrial.
Let me guess. Mission Space?
Well, no. Mission Space. Okay, so
was
you're on the
gonna
right
say
track.
Mission Space.
So this is all the spot. It is now Stitch's Great Escape. So
Oh.
we've mashed everything together. So let's go through the order here. So Mission to Mars was the actual ride that was first there from 1975 to 1993. And I loved Mission to Mars too. That is another gem. You sort of sat in a circle.
Is it anything like...
No. Well, the studio's sort of the same. If you remember Stitch's Great Escape, you're all sitting in a circle, and now Stitch is in the middle and the big thing, and he breaks out. But you were sitting in a circle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In we don't go on it a lot because it's just really not a good ride. I'm sorry. It's not a good ride. But Mission to Mars
I actually
was
don't
better.
mind Stitch's Great Escape.
Mission to Mars, you sat around that circle, and it was like a screen in the middle on the floor. And basically you were a colony taking off to go to Mars, and things went wrong. And it was pretty cool. I actually quite liked Mission to Mars. But then they opened in 95 the extraterrestrial alien encounter. And this was a really, really scary ride. And I think they closed it because it really scared people. And, Disney has a sort of family kids park. They probably let it run now. Man, would that be a good one to bring back for just a little showcase, or do it for a year in that same spot, because there's not a ton of change in the way this theater is from Stitch's Great Escape, but it was an alien and you could feel it breathing down your back. It got loose in there and it was scary. Stitch's is sort of goofy and funny.
Yeah.
Whoa, it's a mouthful, isn't it? Extraterrestrial alien encounter was a scary ride, and I do miss that ride. I would love them to bring that one back.
I almost want to do it to see how scary it is.
It was. I would like to experience again just to see if it still feels scary after all these years as a kid. That closed when? 2003 that closed. All right, the next one on our list you alluded to a little bit earlier is what? We're hopping over to Epcot.
Universe of Energy.
The Universe of Energy and Ellen's Energy Adventure. And this just closed in 2017 to make room for the Guardians of the Galaxy
this ride.
Cosmic Rewind
So fun.
Coaster. I loved it
to
too.
See Guardian, so I can't really say.
It was long. I think it was 38 minutes, but it was so cool. I loved it. I don't know if there's.
I love this ride.
It's not one of those ones I hear a lot about.
38
minutes.
40 minutes of air conditioned.
Yeah,
and it was fun, and you could just sit and relax.
Well, you start by standing,
like a show. Yeah, that was the only part I didn't like.
But then you sit down, then it breaks off, and the cars go all through, and then
so fun.
And then you go through the past, and then you see the dinosaurs, and and you go on this sort of a boat ride through the past. Aha! We haven't done one of these for quite a while. It's time for a magical moment. Do you know what the magical moment I'm talking about is that relates to Ellen's Energy Adventure?
So this was actually in the line, I think. If this is the correct
this is
moment.
the correct one.
Yes. So one day we were at Epcot and we got there early, so we went to Ellen's.
I think we had a fast pass or something, and maybe the ride was down, probably Soarin' or Test Track. Yeah, so we went straight to Ellen's Energy Adventure or Universe of Energy.
Yeah, and because I liked that ride and I was probably hot already, knowing myself, so I wanted to go air-conditioned ride. And I was a bit younger. How old was I?
Oh, you were maybe 6?
Yes. So then we were at the front of the line.
Yeah, we were the very, very first people.
Which happens to us never. And then the cast member came out from the door and she gave me this little toy dinosaur thing.
Yeah, I think I have that downstairs somewhere. Yeah, it was a little toy dinosaur for being first in line, just like when we were in the castle and we were the first family and you got that pin in Cinderella Castle. So that was a very, very cool little magical moment. And unfortunately, it's one that no one can have anymore, at least not on that ride. And speaking of rides, this is one I'm curious to hear your opinion on, because a lot of people love this one, and to me, I never really cared about it that much. What am I talking about?
Great Movie Ride?
The Great Movie Ride over in Hollywood Studios. Now, it ran from 89 to 2017, so it just closed, right?
Honestly, when I was little, I hated this ride because it scared me when they took over your car.
When they took over
but
your
then
car.
I started to like it a bit more as I got older because I thought it was kind of funny. How scared I was when I was little.
Oh, so you liked it because you looked back on how you thought about it when you were just a few years.
I was so scared. I thought we were actually
Yeah. So I'll say this: I think
rogue.
this ride is awesome the very first time you do it, if you didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I did like the Wizard of Oz scene. That was sort of cool, but it was okay. But some people are really passionate about the Great Movie Ride, and I was actually happy that they, retired it and opened Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which I think is a much better attraction for that space personally. So, I also say generally, I don't mind when they change things up. People get really, really attached to stuff. Like I miss some of these things, as I've already said, but I don't, lament about them forever.
And sometimes really it depends how loved the attractions are. Like changing the Great Movie Ride versus changing Soarin' is.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that, so we'll compare those in a bit.
Different.
Let's stick in Hollywood Studios. I know this is another one that we really liked and that you really liked. And this was more of a show. What am I talking about?
Lights, Motors, Action.
Lights, Motors, Action, the car show.
Again, I love a lot of these things, but I really liked this one. This was one of my favorite shows, actually.
Yeah, I really liked it too. High energy.
Explosions.
And then they brought Lightning McQueen into it and stuff, and it was pretty cool. It was a pretty good stunt show. And actually another one was the Studio Backlot Tour, which I don't think you ever did, but it was really...
I don't think so.
It was really cool too, because you went on like a fake movie set and they had stuff happen like, oh no, there's an earthquake and the water's
kind of
coming.
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. But Lights, Motors, Action closed in 2016 to make way for Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge, that whole, refurbish in that area.
And I have to say I like Lights, Motors, Action, but it does not compare.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
It does not compare.
Let me ask you this though. If they had to close Lights, Motors, Action or the Raiders show, which were sort of the two shows, even though this was not the case, but I'm just throwing it at you, which one would you have wanted to keep?
Lights, Motors, Action.
Really? So you would have rather got rid of
I liked
Raiders?
Indiana Jones too. I liked both of these shows.
Yeah.
But I think Lights, Motors, Action was a bit cooler for me.
I think so too. I liked it too. I'm not even a big car guy, but I just thought it was a pretty good, exciting show with the flyers and stuff. So it was pretty neat. Now I want to go back to the Magic Kingdom way back in time. This predates you. And I really, really miss this show. And you don't hear a lot about it anymore. It was called the Mickey Mouse Revue. So you know where Mickey's PhilharMagic is now?
Yes.
We haven't even gone on that for a while. I always want to go, and you guys never want to go. There's never a line. Yeah, it's basically just watching a movie, but there's some cool parts and some sort of smell-o-vision in there. But Mickey Mouse Revue was, I'll say, sort of like Country Bear in terms of animatronic Mickey and everyone. And they came up, and Mickey was the conductor, and they did a show.
That actually sounds really cool.
It was really cool, and they closed it in 1980. And so really didn't run that long. I mean, it was not even 10 years. And I think it sat empty for a while, that spot. I think they took it overseas, this show, but I really loved Mickey Mouse Revue growing up as a kid. I loved the Mickey Mouse stuff, right? And then, I mean, now you have Runaway Railway, but that was a show that Mickey was in.
Yeah. And I think there are actually a lot fewer rides at Disney World that have Mickey in them than you'd think.
I think there were none before.
Yeah, because I feel like lots of people think, oh, Disney, Mickey, little kid stuff, but there's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
When they were launching Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, they were promoting it a lot.
Yeah.
So he gets his own ride, but he had one. He had the Mickey Mouse Revue, and you took it away. And I really liked it. I don't know, any other old timers out there, let me know. Did you like Mickey Mouse Revue, or was it just me? Here's another one you probably didn't even know existed. The double-decker buses in Epcot World Showcase.
Is that a ride? Is that a ride? Or?
You know what it was? It was, I can't even remember if I actually ever went on one. Just like we never take the friendships that go across the lake there.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy walking, but World Showcase Lagoon is pretty big. It's over a mile or, a couple kilometers.
A mile?
Yeah,
wow.
like it's a long walk all the way around.
Oh, yeah.
So they had these big double-decker tour buses that just drove around World Showcase in a big circle, and they went back and forth, and you could hop on.
Only.
You could hop on and hop off at each country, and it was the Walt Disney Transportation or Epcot Transportation Company or whatever it was called. But I think, over time, I can't even remember when they ended, the year they ended, but over time, it gets more crowded, and trying to drive a bus through there just became something they didn't want to do anymore. So they eventually
What about lazy people who don't like walking?
Well, lazy people who don't like walking liked these double-decker buses.
Yes.
And now I guess they can hop on a boat, but it's not the same thing because this, went stops all the way around. But it did get in the way, and you'd constantly have to move for it and things like that.
Not if you're on it.
Not if you're on it. That's true. So that's a blast from the past that I didn't really love, but I thought was sort of neat. But I do understand why they got rid of it. Now, the next one.
I want to save this till the end because I think it's the worst.
Okay.
It's the worst.
Are we going to remember?
Oh,
Let's just do it now.
No, I'm going to remember.
Oh, okay. So I want to do another one, which was also in the Magic Kingdom, the Skyway. You did not experience the Skyway. The Skyway did inspire, of course. What?
Yeah. Skyliner. So I don't know if you're going to have any kind words about this one.
Well, let me put it this way. Yeah, I'm on the record not a fan of the Skyliner, but and part of it is this. So the Skyway went from Fantasyland. It was right beside It's a Small World, right where the Corona, where the washrooms are now for Tangled. And that's where you got on, and it basically went to Tomorrowland. So it was the Skyway to Tomorrowland or the Skyway to Fantasyland. And they were little sort of cable cars.
Is that really necessary?
Well, it was, I don't know, it was more of a fun thing. We did ride it a fair bit, I'll say that. I didn't like to wait in line for it, but if there was no line, we would ride it. But it was a bit of an eyesore, and also it broke down a lot. And that's why I say there's a reason they got rid of the Skyway. 4 people were in a car, and then they finally got rid of it, and they reimagined that area into Rapunzel's Tower and the washrooms, and then on the other side. I can't remember exactly where it got off in Tomorrowland. So the Skyway, and they held 4 people, and, it was slow moving. It's not like the Skyliner. So, but another one now I want to jump to Epcot because this was a really, really this one I did really miss. So some of these,
I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, you did not get it, but you can. I'll give you an appreciation for it. So it was Body Wars in the Wonders of Life Pavilion at Epcot, and Star Tours.
This one creeps me out a little bit.
So Star Tours, you get in a car. Body Wars was just like that, but
you go into a human body.
You do. There's a movie, The Fantastic Voyage, or something it's called, where they shrink people down and put them in a little needle and stick them in a body because they have to go inside and fix something. I forget the movie story, but that's what Body Wars was essentially. You were shrunken down and you went inside someone. So you're jerking around, going.
I like the idea.
You're going through the veins, and you'd see the blood fighting each other. The
I
red
like
and
the
white
shrunken down idea, but
Then you got stuck in the heart.
I don't know. Yeah,
that was the big scary part.
The veins and the heart.
Yeah, it was really cool. I
And...
really, really liked Body Wars. That lasted till 2007. You were just born right after 2008, so you just missed it. Body Wars was a cool one. Another throwback one that you would have loved, and I would love them to bring this back. For it would have been cool.
You talk about this one all the time.
I know, if they brought it back for the 50th anniversary or something. I don't even know if the track is still there, but it was the swan boats and the moat at Cinderella Castle. And they were, I got to dig up some pictures. They ran for 10 years, 73 to 83. It was a D-ticket ride. So that's back in the E-tickets were the top ride. So 20,000 leagues under the sea. But this was the next tier. And so you got on by the castle and you rode in these little swans. And they were like gas powered, as I recall. And they would drive you around the water. And they went all the way into Adventureland, into the Swiss Family Treehouse area. And it was a pretty cool little relaxing thing to do, just like a lazy, easy-going ride.
What I'm hearing is Disney wants to make us all walk.
Yeah, that's funny. A lot of these things that disappear.
That is what I'm hearing. This episode is Disney making us walk.
Now, so I missed the swan rides. That's, for me, a nostalgic one that's gone. Were you on this next one? Did you do this? I can't recall if we actually had you do it.
I think so.
I think you did it too. You were definitely around for this, and I really wanted you to do it. And I missed this one, and this one is Sum of All Thrills at Epcot in the Innoventions building. Do you remember what it was, or do you want me to explain it?
You explain it, because I kind of remember, but I'm probably not going to do it properly.
And I used to tell, when you tell people, you can go to Walt Disney World and design and ride your own roller coaster. And that's what it was. So it ran from 2009. Didn't close that long ago, 2016. Yeah. So what you did was you went in. It was essentially a virtual reality
I was really
thing.
mad when they closed that.
And you went.
Because that was a really good one.
It was so cool because you could go upside down.
Remember when you dropped something?
I didn't drop something.
You dropped something somewhere.
Well, maybe I did there.
Yeah, I was like, no, you dropped something.
It was something I didn't need because they said, we're not stopping the ride because mine went upside down.
Oh, your sunglasses.
Oh, yeah. So what you would do is you go to a little design table and you would design your roller coaster and you could put loops in it or whatever you want. And then you sat in this virtual arm and it was basically like a roller coaster car, but on a mechanical arm. And then you would close yourself in and put the glasses on and watch the screen and you'd see the track. And if you went upside down, you literally went upside down. So they warned you, you are going upside down.
I think my mom was like watching me do it. And she was
I missed Some of All Thrills. I thought it was totally cool and a really neat ride.
They should bring that back.
Yeah, maybe a newer, cooler version
bring it back.
of it.
They should make a newer, cooler, better version.
All right, speaking of bringing things back, I got a couple of quick ones here. River Country. I loved it. I miss it. Nostalgic. They're not going to bring it back. But
created a tribute in our backyard.
I did create a tribute in Disney Resort North, our backyard, to River Country. But here's what I want to see. River Country is the sort of Bay Area now of Reflections, the new hotel they're working on. So we're going to see if there's any nods to River Country when that hotel comes out. Yes. But here's one I do want to talk about briefly. Right in front of River Country on Bay Lake, there is Discovery Island, which was originally called Treasure Island. That closed in 1999, and it's not being used now. I miss it. I thought it was neat. I would love them to reimagine that as Moana. It's an island. Oh. So Disney, if you're listening, please do something with Discovery Island and make
That's actually a really good idea.
Thank you. Make it Moana themed because I really want to see that. Now, I want to do a rapid fire.
No. Before we do that, we have to go back.
Okay, and then I'll do. So the one we were missing that you miss most of all?
Wishes.
Wishes.
And when I said it was the worst, I didn't mean it was a bad attraction. I mean, it's the worst one. The worst thing they could possibly do was get rid of it. And they did.
I miss Wishes. The Wishes fireworks show for everyone who doesn't know it. Jiminy Cricket as the host. And honestly, that ran, it feels like it ran longer, but it was just 2003 to 2017. And before that was Fantasy in the Sky.
My entire first 9 years of life.
Yeah, you grew up on Wishes, and it had so much heart. And I still, to this day, listen to the Wishes soundtrack. You're not going to listen to the Happily Ever After soundtrack on its own.
No, I kind of like the soundtrack to that.
To Happily Ever After?
I think
You're not going to listen to 25 minutes of it.
no. I
whereas
think
Wishes
Happily Ever
stands alone.
After is a movie soundtrack compilation. Is what I
Happily
think
Ever
it is.
After is a good show, but it's just, hey, let's take all our tech and all our stuff and cram it into one show, and let's make sure it's modular so that we can put new movies in and take old movies out. And I get all the reasons why they did it, and it's neat to watch and looks good, but it's not something that is endearing like all of these rides that has a story that tugs at your heart that you want to see again and again. So
Like,
Wishes
I'll go on a
was
plane
incredible.
and I'll just put Wishes in.
Yeah, me
It'll
too.
be just like the most soothing thing ever. And I'll go to Disney and then I'm like, oh wait, it's Happily Ever After.
Now, I want to do a rapid fire to you
Okay.
now, because these are things that were reimagined. So here's what I'm asking you. New version or old version? Which did you like better? I want to start with Test Track. Test Track changed from the older version to the new sort of digital version in 2012. And while the ride outside and everything is the same, the inside is totally different. You didn't design your own car and all that in the original one. So what do you like better?
New version.
New version
New
Test
version.
Track? Okay, I thought you'd say that. I do think it's a bit more interactive.
I'm a tech person. I like to design.
At first, I didn't
my
like it
car.
because I thought it looked a bit cheesy modern, but I got used to it. All right. Reimagined, there was Maelstrom, originally changed in 2014 to Frozen Ever After. Were you ever on Maelstrom?
No, apparently it was not very good.
Well, here's
I
another
heard it
one.
was worse than the Frozen ride.
Okay, so this is one that people are passionate about. They tend to love, I love Maelstrom.
I'm not a huge Frozen
I
person.
did not like it at
a
all.
huge Frozen ride person.
But Frozen Ever After is better.
I like it, but
In my
I
opinion.
think Disney is taking a lot of boat rides and reimagining them, which I do like. So I think I like Frozen better.
All right, and finally,
I like Frozen better.
Dumbo. The old Dumbo, reimagined in 2012 with New Fantasyland into the new Dumbo with 2 Dumbos and a play area.
New Dumbo.
New Dumbo, because you love the play area. So in other
Better than
words,
the ride.
you like all
It's
3
better
new
than the
reimagined versions.
Yeah, I think the ones that you chose were some of the better reimagining that they did.
Yeah, those 3 are pretty cool reimagining.
Yeah.
And now here's things I think could use some reimagining. I think Jungle Cruise needs to be reimagined. Sorry, fans out there of Jungle Cruise, but they need to do something with that ride. And
That ride has so much potential.
on top of sinking boats, they just need to reimagine. And also Dinosaur. I mean, the Raiders version in Disneyland is so much better that they need to bring Dinosaur somehow. I don't care if they change the theme at all. I have no attachment to Dinosaur. We don't ride it that often, and there's so much potential. So I'd love to see that reimagined.
Yeah.
And one final thing there's 2 final things. One, this is for you old timers, yellow ponchos. Anyone who before the around 2000, 2003, you know the ponchos today that you buy that are clear?
Yes.
All the original ones, they were yellow with a Mickey on the back. And there was
I think you gave me one of those.
yeah, yellow ponchos are the best. That's just an old hidden gem for the old timers here. We'll remember yellow ponchos.
That's like an old movie thing. You just see like the yellow poncho.
And then finally, the very saddest one was Minnie Moo. So who out there remembers Minnie Moo, the Holstein cow that had that Mickey Mouse on the side of her? If you don't know about Minnie Moo, look her up on Google.
She's adorable.
Yep, there was a family in Minnesota or somewhere, and Minnie was an actual cow, obviously, and they were going to put her down because she was not a big milk producer, and one of the young family members contacted Disney because she had this very distinctive large Disney on her side, and thank goodness...
Large
thank
Mickey.
Mickey, sorry.
Large Disney.
Large Disney, large Mickey, and Disney did take her in. And she was there from 1990 to 2001. She started in Toontown in what was Grandma Duck's petting farm. And then when they reimagined that, they moved her to Fort Wilderness to the petting farm. And she lived to a ripe old age of 17, which I understand for a cow is very good.
Yes.
So Minnie Moo, please look her up. She was a classic
Adorable.
Disney gem.
And it's very distinctive too. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, I showed you a picture of it. It's incredible,
Yeah.
really. So, wow, that was
God-given gift.
That was a whirlwind walk down memory
Yes.
lane. Which one do you miss most of all?
Wishes.
Yeah, I think I have to say Wishes as well. There's so many that I miss, but
And for those listeners, leave a comment or tweet 1923 Main Street. Who do you think sang Wishes?
Yes, this is still, that is one that was never solved.
They never told
never
us.
Resolved.
So Disney, let us know.
I have a theory.
Let us in on the secret. I agree with this theory.
Do I say who I think it is? I still think
I agree with this
I still
theory,
think
actually.
the voice of the little girl was Hilary Duff. That's what I believe. If anyone can actually confirm or deny any of this, that's something
know.
we would like to know. We would love to know. It's one we could not find an answer to, and we've asked a lot of people. So thank you for joining us on this stroll down memory lane at Walt Disney World. We hope you enjoyed the little walk. We didn't cover everything, but we covered a lot, and it's always fun to look back and to look forward. We'll see what they're going to work on next. Always some good stuff happening. So thank you, everyone. As Amelia said, find us on the internet at 1923mainstreet.com.
We're everywhere.
And we're everywhere on social at 1923 Main Street. So have a great day, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this journey, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.